Well, good evening. I want to thank the Lee College Foundation for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight, to represent the students who have benefited so much from your donations. I would like to share with you my journey and the life-changing impacts that you all have had on it. As many of you may understand, achieving your goals in the face of adversity can be trying. But you also know that if you keep going, the greater the adversity, the greater the success. When I was only 2 years old, my parents divorced. My mom decided that she wasn't ready to be a mother yet, so she walked out of my life. And my dad was always working to give me and my two brothers the best life possible. As a result, I would find myself moving from home to home. I remember staying a few months at my grandparents', then moving in with my aunt and staying a few months with her. But a couple of years later, my father remarried to a woman who would love me as her very own. Together, my dad and my stepmom instilled the value of education and the importance of a college degree into me and my now four siblings. When I was in the 5th grade, my biological mother returned back into my life. She believed that this time she was ready to be a mom. And with my father's blessing, I moved in with my mom to Laredo, Texas. But on October 16th of 2011, my mom was deported back to Mexico. I remember being 12 years old, yet being so determined to go to school that I would wake up every single day at 4 o'clock in the morning, cross the Mexico border by myself, walk through downtown Laredo, get on the city bus, and go to school. I did this for a few months until my mom decided once again that she wasn't ready to be a mom. So she confessed to my dad that I was living in Mexico. Immediately, my dad drove 6 hours to pick me up and bring me back home to Baytown. I didn't understand why my dad was taking me away from my mom, and I also didn't know that my mom was the one who told him to go get me. Throughout the years, I began to develop feelings of resentment towards my dad and the values that he and my stepmom had instilled into me. Throughout high school, I would end up skipping school, drinking alcohol, and sometimes even smoking. I had been through so much pain and I didn't know what to do with it. But in my junior year of high school, I began to realize that everything that my dad had done for me and the sacrifices that he made, I wanted to make my dad proud. So that year, I enrolled into Peter Highland Center. During the day, I would go to Robert E. Lee High School and take my junior classes. And then I would walk 30 minutes to Peter Highland Center to take my senior classes online because I was determined to finish high school and be the first in my family to go to college and earn a degree. And then on October 16th, I graduated with my diploma. And the following semester, I took my very first class at Lee College. My first semester at Lee College was amazing. I realized that college was the right place for me, and that my goals of wanting to one day become a doctor or a lawyer were actually becoming attainable. But the summer going into my second semester of college, my dad and my stepmom divorced. My mom and my sister moved to Dallas, and my father was once again left taking care of me and my brothers here in Baytown, while still supporting my sister miles away. This began to take a toll on my dad and on my family. College was becoming the least of my worries, and that dream of wanting to become a doctor or a lawyer was getting further and further away. That semester, I applied to receive my first scholarship for the very first time. And a few weeks later, I received an email saying that I had been awarded the Patman Memorial Scholarship. I was surprised. I went from not knowing how I was going to pay for my tuition to having most of my tuition paid for. I didn't know who paid for my tuition, but I knew that I would pay them back by doing my absolute best in school. So the following semester, I joined the honors program, the debate team, and I would even begin to volunteer at every school and community event possible. And later that year, I was invited to the Lee College Scholarship Breakfast, where I got to meet the family who made going to college possible, and I even took a picture with them. My dreams of receiving a degree were becoming a reality, and that was all because of generous donors like you. The stress of college tuition wasn't hovering over my shoulder. I didn't have to work as much, and I was able to spend more time with my family and on my studies. But like I said earlier, the greater the adversity, the greater the success. And this year I would come face to face with one of my greatest difficulties in life. The man who had worked so hard to give me the world. The man who had instilled the value of education into my life. And the man who supported me through all my endeavors would suffer his very first heart attack. This heart attack would leave my father hospitalized for over a week, undergoing several surgeries, and out of work for nearly 2 months. I was just weeks away from walking across the graduation stage, but hospital bill after hospital bill flooded the dining room table. My father never said anything, but I knew that keeping up with the bills, supporting my stepmom and my sister in Dallas, and taking care of me and my siblings was becoming more difficult for him. At the time, I was on a payment plan for my tuition and still owed the college money. Without paying, I didn't have access to my official transcripts. I couldn't register for more classes, and most importantly, I couldn't walk for graduation in May. It seemed as though everything was falling apart. I didn't have the money, and I felt like giving up. I always kept a picture of the family who gave me my first scholarship with me. I actually have it with me right now. Every time I felt like I couldn't keep going, every time I felt like I wanted to give up, I looked at the picture. The picture reminded me that there were people out there, people like all of you, who were willing to blindly pay for someone's tuition. And people like you who believed in people like me. And at that very moment, I realized that if there was someone out there that I didn't know that could believe in me, then I too could continue to believe in myself. I emailed the foundation and explained everything that was going on. Soon after, I received additional help from the Student Success Fund that allowed me to return my focus back on my dad, my studies, and ultimately allowed me to graduate on May 11th of 2019. I went from being a 12-year-old boy crossing the Mexico border every single day and handing the Border Patrol officer my credentials to come to school in the United States, to this year being an adult, but this time crossing the graduation platform and having Dr. Brown hand me my credentials. That was all because of you. You made my dream of graduating into a reality. Because of you, I'm one step closer to achieving my goals of one day completing a joint JD-MD program that allows me to practice both medicine and law here in the United States. So thank you. Thank you for making a dream into a reality. Thank you for giving and for believing in students you've never met. Thank you for helping me walk across the graduation stage. Your impact on my life has inspired me and the life of many other students to be the next generation of donors and to one day sit in the seats that you're sitting in today. Thank you.